Marshall. The Marshall Amplification Company was founded by drummer and music teacher Jim Marshall in London in 1962. Marshall initially owned a small music shop in the Hanwell area, where he used to sell percussion instruments and give drum lessons. Regular visitors to his shop included young guitarists from the British rock scene, notably Pete Townshend of The Who, Ritchie Blackmore, later of Deep Purple, and others. They complained to Jim about the lack of power and punch in American-made guitar amplifiers, such as Fender, and convinced him to create his own amplifier with a more aggressive sound and volume. Listening to the wishes of rock musicians, Jim Marshall hired a team of engineers and in 1963 released the first Marshall guitar amplifier, the JTM 45 model, designed after the Fender Bassman, but more affordable and with a distinctive British sound. This 45-watt amplifier marked the beginning of Marshall's journey. The success of the first amplifier inspired Marshall to continue developing. Soon he began creating more powerful systems capable of filling large halls with sound. By the mid-1960s, when British rock was experiencing a surge in popularity on both sides of the Atlantic, the issue of volume arose. Guitarists simply could not be heard over the screams of fans at large concerts. In 1965, Pete Townshend asked Marshall for the loudest system possible, requesting a cabinet with 8 12-inch speakers. Jim agreed to experiment, but ran into a problem. His first attempt, a bulky 8 by 12 cabinet, was so heavy that the roadies could barely lift it. The solution turned out to be ingeniously simple: cut the cabinet in half. Marshall suggested making 2 4 by 12 cabinets and stacking them on top of each other. Thus the famous Marshall stack was born. A 100-watt tube amplifier based on the JTM 45, prototype JTM 45-100, was developed to go with them. At the end of 1965, The Who were the first to try out this powerful system, and they were very impressed. This is how the first Marshall stack came into being, setting a new standard for volume on the rock scene and firmly linking the Marshall name with the concept of a wall of sound. The new 100-watt Marshall stack quickly spread among rock bands. Marshall amplifiers with their distinctive golden plexiglass panel, which earned the 1959 Super Lead model the nickname Plexi, became a symbol of the sound of the late 1960s. Legendary guitarists such as Pete Townshend, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, and many others made Marshall their weapon of choice on stage. After the advent of Marshall stacks, rock concerts reached unprecedented volumes. By the early 1970s, Marshalls were stacked in 2 tiers, forming giant walls of cabinets on stage. Marshall guitar cabinets became not only a source of sound, but also a visual symbol of the hard rock and heavy metal era. Practically every major rock band of those years, from Led Zeppelin to Deep Purple, had black cabinets with white Marshall lettering towering behind them on stage. Marshall cemented his reputation as the father of loud, and his company was literally unable to keep up with orders from around the world. In the 1970s, Marshall continued to develop the line, introducing new technologies, but remained faithful to tube sound. During this period, models with master volume controls appeared, allowing for overdrive at low volumes, an important innovation for guitarists. By the early 1980s, the company celebrated its 20th anniversary and introduced one of its most famous amplifiers, the Marshall JCM 800. This high-powered amplifier with rich overdrive appealed to the hard rock and metal community and became the face of Marshall in the 1980s. Its distinctive aggressive sound defined the style of many bands of that era. In 1987, Marshall celebrated its 25th anniversary with the release of the Silver Jubilee series, a limited edition of chrome-plated amplifiers. The Silver Jubilee 2555 model subsequently became the favorite amplifier of Slash from Guns N' Roses, further enhancing its cult status. In the 1990s, Marshall faced new challenges as guitar music changed and new genres emerged. The company responded with the release of the JCM 900 series, more powerful and multi-channel amplifiers designed for modern overdriven guitar performances. At the end of the decade and into the 2000s, the JCM 2000 series was released, including the dual super lead and triple super lead models, with multiple channels and switchable modes for flexibility on stage. At the same time, Marshall offered inexpensive transistor amplifiers for beginners, for example, the MG line, and hybrid valve state models in order to reach as wide an audience as possible. The company remained committed to tube sound in its main professional line, continuing to release new tube models and updated versions of its iconic devices. However, the firm didn't shy away from new avenues of development. For example, in 2016, which can already be considered the modern era, Marshall began producing digital modeling amplifiers. In collaboration with the Swedish company Softube, Marshall released the Code series of amplifiers, fully programmable combos with models of classic Marshall stacks and built-in effects. These steps allowed Marshall to maintain its position in the face of growing competition from new brands and technologies. However, the company began searching for something new and profitable even before the release of the Code series. A major event for the industry and the company itself took place in 2010. Marshall decided to enter the consumer audio market. Instead of developing devices for music lovers on its own, something the company had no experience in, Marshall partnered with Swedish firm Sound Industries, known for its Urban Ears brand. Sound obtained a license to manufacture audio devices under the Marshall brand name. In effect, Marshall entrusted the development, design, and production of the new product line to its partner, while retaining control over quality and providing the iconic brand name. In November 2010, Marshall's first product for the general public was released, the Marshall Major On-Ear headphones. They attracted attention. The design of the headphones featured signature elements of Marshall guitar amplifiers, black vinyl coating, a white handwritten Marshall logo on the ear cups, and metal hinges with a vintage finish. The build quality and sound were quite good. The music reproduction was characterized by rich bass, clear highs, and drive. The new product was a hit with music lovers and fans of the brand. Following the first model, Marshall quickly expanded its range of headphones. In 2011, the compact Marshall Minor in-ear headphones appeared, and in 2012, the full-size Marshall Monitor model with large ear cups for more voluminous sound. Several more generations of headphones were released in the following years. New models appeared: medium-sized Bluetooth on-ear headphones, Mode, a line of wired and wireless in-ear headphones, and others. By 2018, Marshall had introduced its first wireless headphones with active noise cancellation, showing that it intended to compete in the technology segment as well. In 2021, Marshall launched its first true wireless in-ear headphones, the Marshall Mode 2. In just a decade, Marshall has become a major player in the personal audio market. The partnership with Sound Industries proved successful, with several 100,000 Marshall devices released in the first few years. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in the company's history. Marshall was now associated not only with guitar amplifiers, but also with stylish consumer audio devices for everyday life. The next step in Marshall's lifestyle transformation was to enter the home audio segment. In 2012, on the company's 50th anniversary, Marshall announced its first home audio product, the Marshall Hanwell Active Speaker System. The name was not chosen at random. Hanwell is an area in West London where Jim Marshall opened his very first shop in the 1960s. The Hanwell speaker system became a bridge between the past and the future. Externally, it looked like a smaller version of a Marshall combo amplifier, a wooden body covered with black vinyl, the front panel covered with the brand's signature fabric mesh with the classic Marshall logo, and a gold trim around the perimeter in honor of the brand's 50th anniversary. The top panel of the device was decorated with a polished brass insert with control knobs. The only thing missing was a guitar jack. The developers honestly warned that Hanwell was not intended for use as a guitar combo, but was created specifically for playing music at home. Inside, there was modern hardware, a 100-watt Class D amplifier, a pair of low-frequency speakers, and high-frequency tweeters with ferrofluid cooling. Connection to the sound source was via a standard 3.5mm audio input, the speaker came with an original twisted cord styled to look like a guitar cable. The first batch of Marshall Hanwell speakers was released as a limited edition, retailing at around $800, but there were many who wanted to get their hands on a piece of Marshall for their home. Soon Marshall, in collaboration with Sound, expanded its range of home audio products. In 2014, several models of various sizes and purposes appeared at once: the Marshall Stanmore and Acton stationary speakers for the home, the flagship Marshall Woburn large speaker, named, by the way, after a village near Milton Keynes, where Marshall's headquarters are located, as well as portable battery-powered Bluetooth speakers, the Marshall Kilburn and the compact Marshall Stockwell. All of them were designed in the same vintage style, the familiar black and gold design of Marshall amplifiers from the 1960s. Each new product confirmed that Marshall was transforming from a guitar brand into a brand for the mass consumer of sound. It is worth noting that, overall, the public welcomed the company's idea to release various consumer devices in the style of professional guitar amplifiers. Of course, there were those who reacted negatively to this venture. Old-school rockers considered this strategy to be a cheapening of the legendary brand and an attempt to simply make money. Nevertheless, in reality, the company has maintained a high level of quality to this day and has not forgotten its own style. In addition to headphones and speakers, the company has released other more daring products. For example, Marshall London, an Android smartphone for music lovers with a Marshall design. Or the Marshall Fridge, a mini-fridge styled after a Marshall combo amplifier. The partnership with Sound Industries effectively created two parallel lines of business within Marshall, one for traditional guitar amplifiers, the other for headphones, speakers, and other lifestyle products. For a long time, these lines went hand in hand, complementing each other. However, in 2023, an event occurred that changed this evolution. Sound Industries acquired Marshall Amplification, and they merged into a single structure, the Marshall Group. The Marshall family remained a major shareholder in the new group, and representatives from both companies joined the management team. The Marshall Group headquarters was located in Stockholm, but the Marshall factory in Bletchley, England, continued to operate and produce tube amplifiers, now as a division of a larger audio conglomerate. This merger marked the end of the era of Marshall as a wholly family-owned business. In 2025, the Marshall Group attracted an investor from Asia, Hongshan Capital. The Chinese fund Hongshan acquired a controlling stake in the Marshall Group, valuing the entire Marshall Group at more than €1.1 billion. At the same time, the Marshall family retained about 24% of the shares and continued to participate in the company's affairs. Hongshan representatives promised to preserve the iconic brand and unlock its full potential, especially in terms of global distribution. In other words, a new chapter began. Marshall transformed from a traditional British firm into part of a large international group. Today, the company's lifestyle catalogue features dozens of models, from the Marshall Willan portable speaker weighing a couple of 100 grams to the powerful Woburn 3 speaker capable of rocking a party. The brand is introducing new technologies. For example, the Marshall Bluetooth app allows you to adjust the sound of speakers and headphones via your smartphone, and multi-room audio, voice assistants and other features are being added. Other brands are also united under the Marshall Group umbrella. In addition to amplifiers and audio gadgets, the group includes Natal Drums, a British manufacturer of drum kits, the Marshall Records label, founded in 2017 to support young rock artists, and even its own Marshall Arena venue in Milton Keynes for concerts. In summary, it should be understood that today Marshall is no longer a family business that barely managed to fulfill orders. The company is now run by international investors and continues to develop, expanding its global reach. To the delight of the brand's fans, the company still retains its main features, powerful sound and a bit of rock and roll spirit. The history of Marshall clearly shows how once small family businesses are finding new ways in a new generation of technology. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and support the channel. Thank you all very much, And until next time.